First off, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to those apostles and elders from Great Millstone who teach and rule well. A lot of respect to you brothers out there on the highways and byways preaching this truth around the four corners of the earth. And salutations to the hopeful elect that you guys may be sealed soon. And with that, this your brother Dawad Bar from the branch of GMS here in Chicago, coming right back at you with a little lesson. And I'm going to play this video, but I'm going to get a scripture first before I play this video. And I'm quite sure a lot of brothers might know this guy at Brandon Jamal. Don't miss. He's sitting up here making a mockery and making fun of the Native Americans of Gad due to them stepping on the American flag. You know, and that just shows ignorance, man, because you don't understand the reason why you should be pissed off. You know, you should be pissed off. And I'm about to get the scripture that shows, you know, just the lack of knowledge that our people have, man. But you know what? I'm gonna let that play. I'm gonna get the first before I let this play. I'm gonna get the Copyright Act of 1976. I'm not using this for no monetarily or no financial gain. I am using this strictly for teaching purposes only and educational purposes only. You know, and if that brother Brandon Jamal see this, hey man, look, understand. Hey man, you know, you gotta learn your history. You know, brothers always say to learn the mystery, you gotta learn the history. You know, and that's the main thing. You know, and hey, look, you know, and ignorance is not bliss, man. You know, so I'm gonna sit up here and grab this scripture real quick, and then I'm gonna play this. This is Hosea 4:6. My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee, that thou shalt be no more priest to me, seeing thou hast forgotten the law of thy power. I will also forget thy children. But it's just the knowledge, man. You rejected the laws of the Lord. You reject the knowledge that the men out here on the highways and byways are sitting up here preaching. But also just the lack of knowledge and just knowing your history, man. Knowing that you're an Israelite, you know. Knowing the true names of the Lord. Knowing that there are 12 tribes of Israel, you know. There are 12 tribes. And one of those tribes is Gad, the Native Americans. And that's who you're talking about. So with that, man, let me sit up here and let this play. And then I'm going to grab a few scriptures. And like I said before, the Copyright Act of 1976, I'm not using this for no monetary gain, no financial gain. This is strictly educational purposes and teaching purposes only. Here we go.
I swear these niggas are the sorest losers of all time. Y'all had home field advantage and you lost the war, alright? Get over it. At least y'all got shit. You got land, you got casinos, you got money. Black people didn't get a damn thing. Shut the hell up. But real shit, how the hell you lose that bad when you had home field advantage? Notice when the real Americans had home field advantage, we sent beans and toast packing.
So as you sit up here and said, he's, you know, saying that, hey, you know, y'all lost, y'all sore losers, get over it. Y'all had home field advantage, you know, and you lost, you know, y'all got this and y'all got that. He's not understanding that, hey, when you look at those reservations, what do you see mostly when you look at the Native Americans? They drunk. They don't own none of that money. It's so-called white people that own those casinos. They not getting none of that money. If they are getting any of that money, it's a small percentage, you know. Look what the so-called white man did to the so-called blacks. We ain't get shit. So that right there should show you that they ain't getting none of that money. Do you think these goddamn devils keep they word with anything? Come on, Brandon. Get your head out your ass, man. Yeah, you might make some jokey videos, man, but man, when it comes to this, when it comes to real knowledge and when it comes to the stuff that you're speaking on like this, man, just leave it alone. You know? Stick to the baby mama drama. You know? For real. But let me grab let me pull this up too. It says, pull this article up. It says CNN. It says why Christopher Columbus wasn't the hero we learned about in school. Now I'm not gonna read all this crap. I'm gonna drop down. He said he enslaved the natives. Now I'm gonna read a part of this. It says during his voyages through the Caribbean islands and the Central and South American coast, Columbus came upon indigenous people that he labeled Indians. Columbus and his men enslaved many of these native people and treated them with extreme violence and brutality, according to history.com. Throughout his years in the Americas, Columbus forced natives to work for the sake of profit. Later, he sent thousands of Taino Indians to Spain to be sold, and many of them died during the journey. The natives who weren't sold into slavery were forced to look for gold in mines and work on plantations. While he was governor of what is now the Dominican Republic, Columbus killed many natives in response to their revolt, according to the history.com, to prevent further rebellion. He would have the dead bodies paraded through the streets. He brought new diseases. The indigenous society of Americas was decimated by exposure of old world diseases, crumbling under the weight of epidemic, Perry wrote in his CNN Ope. So think about it. He brought diseases that the Native Americans never knew of. Fucking goddamn pale-faced bastard. It says the Taino populations weren't immune to diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenzas, which were brought to their island by Hispaniola, by Columbus and his men in 1492. There were an estimated 250,000 indigenous people in Hispaniola, but by 1517 only 14,000 remained, according to the Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation. Some historians believe that the impact of the European and African settlers in the New World possibly killed as much as 90% of the native population and was deadlier than a Black Death, and was in medieval Europe. That was than the Black Death was in medieval Europe, OMRF said. So my thing is, so when you sit up here and think about what happened to the Native Americans, not only did he bring over weapons such as guns, artillery, but he also brought over what? Diseases. He gave them blankets. He was sneaky about it. So you could easily take down somebody who got their guard down. And then once everything started happening, guess what? They started revolting, and guess what? They got put to rest, man. Esau's blessing is the sword. You can't fight the man who the Lord gave the blessing of the sword to. That's a battle we won't win. We waiting on the Lord, and that's something you got to understand, Brandon. But with that, man, let me sit up here and grab a few scriptures. Let me grab a few scriptures. There was some other scriptures I had on deck, but I'm gonna grab this one first. Let me sit up here and grab this, because when you go to Genesis 49 and 19, what does it say? Sometimes you got to put things together. It says, I'm going to start at 18. It says, I have waited for thy salvation, O Lord. Gad, a troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. So when you sit up and read them, Gad, who's Gad? The Native Americans that were over here in America. That is Gad. It says, a troop shall overcome him. Who was that troop? That troop was Columbus, man. His men. They destroyed and killed a lot of Native Americans, man. They destroyed and killed a lot of Gad. But what it says, but he shall overcome at the last. Because when Yahushua and all hell break loose, Gad is going to get his revenge on these damn devils, man, for what they did. Point blank, period. Now you might ask yourself, how do you know he's Gad? Well, here's the thing. Look at what Columbus said in one of his things. Let's go here. Let's go here. It says, when you go down here, it says, hold on. Salakia. That wasn't the part I was looking for. Here it is. It says, according to the Jewish Encyclopedia, Christopher Columbus said that America was the place known as Azrath, or another land. He used Second Esdras as a source for navigating to America. Hold on. See, sometimes, man, you got to sit up here and look at man, it's right there in Google, man. It's right there in the internet, man. Read some shit. Look what he just said. It says, Christopher Columbus said that America was this place known as Azrath, or another land. He used Second Esdras as a source for navigating to America. So when you sit up here and look, now let's read Second Esdras. I have pulled it up. Let's go to Second Esdras. I'm going to sit up here and, I'm going to just go straight down to the point here at 40. I'm going to read a little further down. So this is Second Esdras. The Second Esdras 13 and 40. It says, those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoner out of their own land in the time of Osea, the king, whom Salmanazar, the king of Assyria, led away, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. So when you go into 2 Kings, the 17th chapter, you're going to read about this starting at the first verse going down. But it says, but they took this counsel among themselves that they would lead the multitude of the heathen and go further into a further country where never mankind dwelt. What's the further country? Keep on reading. That they might keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land, and they entered into Euphrates by the narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Azarath. Now, even though they put it as a Z, it's the same name that they're sitting up here that Christopher Columbus said was the Americas. But look what it also said. It says, for the Most High then showed them signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. What did Christopher Columbus say? He had to navigate to get there. You know, I mean, when you sit up here, man, hey, look. Sometimes, man, you gotta read, man. Look what it says. It says, Christopher Columbus said America was this place known as Azarath or another land. He used second Esdras as a source for navigating to America. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. How much more? So when you sit up here and think about it, Christopher Columbus came over here and did this dirty work, man, to Gad. You know? That's why I sit up here and said our people is destroyed for a lack of knowledge, man, because y'all read these books. You read the history that the so-called white man give you and don't even understand nothing, man. They lie. The wicked are estranged from the womb. That's Psalms 58:3. As soon as they be born, they go astray, speaking lies. These motherfuckers ain't gonna tell you the truth. They told you that they went to the moon. They don't know shit. They'll try to tell you that they know how to weigh the earth. They don't know shit. They talk about the Big Bang Theory. What is the Big Bang Theory? It's a theory, just like they say it is. But people believe, man. Our people believe everything. And Brandon, you got to get that out your mind, bro. You know, get that bullshit out your mind, man. And it's another thing. You believe in this world, man, and that's another thing I want to sit up here and hit on. Let me sit up here and go to Jeremiah real quick. And 17. And you know what? Let me read 4. It says, and thou, even thyself, shalt discontinue from thy heritage that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thy enemies in a land which they know is not. For ye have kindled a fire in my anger, which shall burn forever. Who's been sitting up here, man? Who's been giving it to the hands of the enemy, man? Who's serving? You had Gad. You got the so-called black Latinos and Native Americans, man. We in captivity. What the fuck are you talking about, man? We in captivity. And the Lord, and the reason we don't know who we are, man, because this is the only captivity where the Lord sit up and took away, where we didn't know we were Israelites, man. Man, we pissed off the Lord, man, because we kept going astray. And we went into hardcore bondage under these damn devils. Cristobal Colon and all the rest of these motherfuckers gonna pay. But it says, thus saith the Lord thy power. Cursed be the man that trusted in man, who maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord. Hey, Brandon, that's you, man. You trust in these men and trust in these devils, man. Trust in the shit they say. Trust in their might. Believe in this country. This country going down, man. It's about to sink like the Titanic. And you gonna sink with it. You gonna sink fucking with it. I'm gonna grab one more scripture, man, and I'm gonna close it. This is Jeremiah 50. And 33. It says, thus said the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, and plead their cause means he gonna judge, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. So there you go. The children of Israel and Judah were oppressed together. Israel is When they say Israel, that is talking about the northern tribes, the northern kingdom. When they talk about Judah, it's talking about the southern kingdom. When you think about Judah, you're talking about Yahweh, which means Yahweh praise. You're talking about Benjamin, which means son of the right. And then you're talking about lawyer, which means joint unto. That is the southern kingdom. And then you got Gad, Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, Reuben, Simeon, Naphtali, Zebulun. Those are the northern kingdom. Those are going to be your so-called Hispanics and your Native Americans. You know, and where are we held captive? Who we in America? Where do you got a bunch of us already? The 12 tribes at here in America. You got the so-called Hispanics, Black, and Native Americans all in one big melting pot here in America. Which, when you look in the Bible, when you look at 2 Ezra chapter 13 and 40, or 45 or 46, I'm Salakia, it says Azrath, and that's what in Christopher Columbus said in his thing. America is known as Azrath, and he used 2 Esdras, he said himself, to navigate here. So my thing is, man, hey, look, I hope this was edifying to anyone else who read it or who looked at this video, man. But hey, get your head out your ass, people. The time is about. This place is about to go down. You keep thinking like Brandon. You keep thinking the way you thinking. You're gonna be in trouble. So with that, I'd like to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Ba'Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to those apostles and elders from Great Millstone who teach and rule well. A lot of respect to you brothers out there on the highways and byways preaching this truth around the four corners of the earth. And salutations to the hopeful elect that you guys may be sealed soon. And with that, I always say stay prayed up, brothers. Pray for each other because we almost up out of here. So with that, I'd like to say Kwam Yasharella and Abba Ball and Anya Habatham Malakim. Shalom.